Algeria, in 1910, was a world of contrasts. Beneath the facade of stability created by French colonial rule, simmered a desire for independence. I was a young man at the time, residing in Algiers, seat of power in the colonial administration, studying classics and archaeology at the University of Algiers. My passion was antiquities, and Timgad, an ancient Roman city recently reclaimed from the vast Saharan dunes, beckoned me like a siren's call. When my mentor, Professor Jacques Moreau, invited me to participate in an archaeological expedition to Timgad, it was an opportunity I could not resist. Yet resist I did. My father, who served as an intelligence officer in the colonial administration, was tasked with gathering information on foreign and domestic threats to French interests in the region. Due to an increase in attacks on the road south of Algiers by pro-independence forces, my father flatly refused my request to join Professor Moreau on his expedition. But I was relentless, and a compromise was ultimately reached when I allowed my father to arrange a military escort. Malik Abbas, the man set to accompany me, was a soldier in the colonial army. Like my father, Malik was a man of duty with an unwavering allegiance to France. I, on the other hand, was a pacifist whose sympathies lay with the Algerian resistance. The journey to Timgad was remarkable for many reasons, largely due to the spectacular scenery and treacherous roads. Reaching our destination took several days and involved navigating perilous mountain passes and bumpy gravel paths that scarcely qualified as roads. On arrival at the remote desert location, I felt a profound sense of isolation, underscored by the fact that Batna, the nearest city, was several hours away. The ancient ruins of Timgad exceeded my expectations, and I delighted in exploring the wonders of the ancient Roman city. At the end of our first full day, when the setting sun prompted the others to return to camp, I stayed behind. Timgad was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and there was still so much to explore. I wandered up and down roads lined with low stone walls, the skeletal remains of houses once inhabited by retired Roman soldiers. When I reached the amphitheatre, a sudden drop in temperature sent shivers down my spine, and my pulse raced. At the centre of the arena, a small child sat alone playing with a set of coloured marbles. I hadn't seen the boy before and couldn't fathom where he'd come from. There were no settlements nearby, and he definitely wasn't part of our group. "Hello," I called. The child glanced up and screamed, then vanished into thin air, taking his toys with him. I walked over to the spot where the boy had been. A glint of moonlight reflected off the surface of an abandoned marble. I picked up the marble, which was icy cold and red as the horizon at dusk, and placed it in my shirt pocket. The next morning, as I explored the ruins with Malik, the boy consumed my thoughts. Was I losing my mind? I withdrew the crimson marble from my pocket to reassure myself that I had, in fact, seen a ghost. "What's that?" asked Malik. "This may sound crazy," I replied, "but last night I saw a young boy, a ghost to be precise, and he was playing with this marble. Has anyone ever claimed that Timgad is haunted?" "How could it not be?" asked Malik. "When Timgad was ransacked in 340 AD, the Vandals murdered every man, woman, and child in sight. Traumatic events of that magnitude always leave an indelible mark. I've no doubt this place is home to many restless spirits." I shuddered at the notion of Timgad teeming with ghosts. In my study of classics and archaeology, I enjoyed learning about the dead, but had no wish to encounter them. "Speaking of terrifying things," continued Malik, "I have it on good authority that in Batna, the city nearest here, residents have spotted Farid Khoja." My blood ran cold at the mention of a name that inspired fear in my father. Farid Khoja, local leader of the Algerian resistance, was notorious for his brutality. That night, as I tossed and turned in bed, fretting about Khoja, I decided to clear my head by going for a walk. I grabbed Malik's rifle and slipped out into the cool night air. The moon cast long shadows across desolate roads, and ancient stone monuments whispered secrets of a tumultuous past. A precipitous drop in the temperature caused every muscle in my body to tense up. My breath caught in my throat, my heart knocked against my chest. I was reluctant to move. In the distance, standing guard beneath the Arch of Trajan, was a Roman soldier, bathed in moonlight. He wore exquisitely crafted armor and carried a fine sword and shield, but his mournful eyes betrayed a sadness so profound. It radiated off him like heat from a flame. I worked up the courage to speak. "What are you doing here?" I asked. He glanced at me, startled, then raised his sword and charged. With a flash of light and a rush of cold air, the soldier passed through me. Was I dead? I looked down. No cuts, no blood. I spun around and scanned the horizon, but there was no sign of the menacing soldier. He was gone. Or was he? A booming voice penetrated the silence, speaking the Latin of ancient Rome. "Inveni eos." I'd been studying classics long enough to interpret. "Find them," he'd said. His words a cryptic riddle. Find who? I wondered, feeling dizzy. Was I too young to suffer a heart attack? I returned to my tent, tossed Malik's rifle inside, and cinched the tent flaps together with trembling fingers. But for the crackling of the distant campfire, it was utterly silent. The thin fabric of my shirt pocket scarcely concealed the icy coldness of the red marble. I stared up at the ceiling of my dimly lit tent and took a few deep breaths, attempting to still my racing heart. Battle cries and ululations disrupted the silence, sending shivers down my spine. I scanned the darkness for Malik's rifle. The Roman soldier drifted through the walls of my tent as if passing through nothing at all. As he glared down at me, I recalled his admonition to find them. Not only did I not know who they were, I certainly hadn't found them. Having failed to do his bidding, I feared for my life. Outside my tent there were screams. So many screams. Behind the spectral soldier, just out of reach, was Malik's rifle. I couldn't move, could barely breathe. Hollow eyes pierced my soul. The soldier had followed me here for a reason. He needed me to find someone, or something. Inside my shirt pocket, the red marble began to glow. I withdrew the glowing orb from my pocket and offered it to the soldier. His eyes lit up with a glimmer of recognition. He plucked the marble from my palm, offering a faint smile and a nod, as if to acknowledge that a missing piece had been found. In a flash, he was gone, taking the red marble with him. I raced outside with Malik's rifle. Everyone was huddled around a lifeless body. It was Malik. His throat had been slit. The amount of blood was horrifying. Professor Moreau glanced at the rifle in my hands, then scowled up at me with disdain. "Malik saved our lives," he said, "even without his rifle." My heart sank. Professor Moreau didn't know about the ghost, and evidently thought I'd been hiding like a coward. "We've decided to cut our trip short," continued the professor. "We'll be leaving Timgad at first light." I had no wish to stay and was eager to return to Algiers. I skulked away, humiliated, burdened by the heavy weight of regret. Though I sympathized with the aims of the resistance, the tragic loss of a loyal friend was devastating. Professor Moreau was right. I had behaved like a coward. I'd let fear of a ghost stop me from returning Malik's rifle, and my inaction had exacted a terrible toll. I crawled inside my tent, hoping to escape the torment of my conscience for a few hours and find some much-needed rest. I found Koja instead. I held Malik's rifle aloft, deflecting a direct hit from Koja's curved blade. Behind me, the Roman soldier reappeared, glowing as brightly as the sun. Koja glanced up at the luminous being and screamed. I plunged Malik's bayonet into Koja's belly, then scrambled away. I emerged from the tent, shaken and distraught. To preserve my own life, I'd extinguished another's. Killing had come too easily, shattering my pacifist ideals. In the distance, the Roman soldier stood guard by the Arch of Trajan. The child from the amphitheater emerged from the shadows and raced to the soldier, gleeful as he seized the red marble from the soldier's outstretched hand. The boy's mother was next to emerge from the shadows, tearful as she joined the soldier and their son beneath the majestic arch. Their embrace was one of emancipation, the exuberance of captives finally set free. The boy offered up his marble to the gods, watching the crimson orb dissolve into a cascade of silvery light. Whole at last, the soldier had finally completed his watch.